Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Heather, and on this channel we like to walk a very fine line between a shopping addicted makeup monster and a responsible adult with a makeup hobby. Now, I really enjoy eyeshadows, singles, palettes, duochromes, multi-chromes, blush, highlighter, lip gloss, basically everything except for pressed glitter. And today we are going to be talking about the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, stick with me. We're getting into it right now. Alright you guys, so this palette is $35. It's sold on the NYX website. It's also sold at Ulta, and I'll show it to you without all the reflection from my camera. Now, I picked up this palette about 2 weeks ago when my husband took me to Ulta and was like, go pick something out, it's Mother's Day coming up, like, let's get you something. And I had been eyeing this palette for the longest time, but I kept talking myself out of it because of the price. And so when he offered to get me a little something, I was like, you know what, now is the time to get this palette because I've been eyeing it for so long. I think I'm really going to enjoy it, so I wanted to get it. And I'll tell you why. There were several shades in this palette that really drew my attention. This green here, these golden shades here, this kind of like murky brown copper shade, these minty type shades, and then all these cool tones over here. I was so drawn in because I think this is so much more interesting than just a warm toned palette. Like, I think that's how it kind of comes across, but I think there's so much cool toned in here that is so lovely. I made a couple of looks with this. Apparently I only took pictures of 3 of the looks, so I'll show you those 3 during the video, but I think this palette is very nice quality. There's no pressed glitters in here. There are pigment warnings on many of the shades back here. I would say about half, maybe even 2/3 of the shades have pigment warnings on them, so just swatch, like patch test if you need to, but I did not have any issues with any of these shades. I really enjoyed how they had these like lighter shades to use as kind of blending out shades if the shadows got a little bit too pigmented, but I don't really think they needed all 3 of them. This made a nice inner corner highlight. I really like the formula of these shimmers. They seem a little bit different from these shimmers here, and I'm not quite sure how they did that, but these shimmers just seem so vibrant and impactful on the lid that when I put them on I was like, whoa, like you really got something there. So I really enjoy those shimmers. The mattes blend out really nicely, and I like that you have a variety of dark mattes to pick out in this palette. So you have a black, great, but you also have this kind of grapey purple. You have this sort of purpley deep gray. You have sort of a mid-toned gray. You have a couple kind of burgundy brown type shades. And you even have this kind of like wine red, kind of like warmer toned dark matte. So I think you have a lot of options when you're going to make a look that you can really pull the look in a couple of different directions. So I think that makes this palette very versatile. I really like some of these kind of mustardy olivey shades, and then you have some shimmers that go along with those. I like these kind of minty tones here. The minty silver tones I do think look really nice together. And then you have this corner of kind of cool tone shades. This darkened teal and this kind of blue gray type shimmer looks so pretty together. I did a look with those and I was so impressed with how that look came out. So I really do enjoy that. This lavender or lilac-y kind of shade is really soft. So if you want to use that one, I would definitely recommend using like a white base or a lighter base than your skin tone in order to make the color pop a little bit more. Otherwise, I think it's not going to be that impactful on the lid. So that's my only criticism with that one. I do like that you have kind of some more pinky tones and you have some sort of warm toned neutrals, but they don't overwhelm the palette. I think you get a lot of like really cool fun colors with this palette, which is why I've really been enjoying playing with it. I got this on a Saturday and I used it Saturday, Sunday, and then all through that week I used it for looks to go to work with, and I did get compliments on some of the looks that I wore to work, which I really appreciated. But I think that this palette is super versatile. So let me show you some of the looks that I've done and we can talk about them. Start with this look first. None of these shades really have names, they just have numbers on the back. I think they're just, yeah. Can I hold it like this? and I'll try to put the pictures above. So I have this shade here on my lid, and then I blended that into these two shades up onto my crease, and I have a little bit of these kind of mustardy brown shades above my crease, which I think made this look really, really pretty. I love how vibrant that green is. I think it's a really great one to use all over the lid. One of the other looks that I took a picture of was using this all over the lid, and I used kind of some of these smoky greens and browns and then the black to kind of pull that look together, and I put this all over the lid. It gave me kind of that like grungy vibe, almost from like Melt Mary Jane, but you know, obviously a little bit less expensive. And then I did sheer it out with some of these shades up here, and I think I threw this one just on my brow bone, just to kind of lighten it up a little bit, but I did think that that look came out really pretty as well. And then this last look that I took pictures of is actually the first look that I put together with this palette, and it is by far my favorite. So on the lid, I took a little bit of this gray and then blended it into this kind of darkened teal. I have this kind of light shimmery aqua all over the lid, with this kind of in the first third of the lid into the inner corner. On the lower lash line, I have this kind of plummy purpley color smoked in with this color very close to the lash line. And then I think inner corner, maybe this one. I may have those two inverted, but I did end up using both of those shades. I love how this look came together. This is like my favorite look. I'm so happy I was able to use these cool tone shades and that they were able to kind of come together and look really, really nice and kind of creative together. So in terms of overall like quality value for this palette, I would definitely pick this palette up if you're thinking about using it, or if you're thinking you might want it. I think the color story is really original and really interesting. It's not just a warm tone neutral palette, it's not just a cool tone palette, it's got kind of the best of both worlds. It goes a little bit grunge, it goes a little bit cool. Really, really enjoy this palette. Do I think it's worth $35? I feel like I'd be more comfortable paying about $25 for it if I was going to pay for it with my own cash. So if you have an occasion where you can use like a 20% off of one makeup item from the drugstore side of Ulta, that would be a good time to use this, or like a 30% off coupon at NYX's website, something like that, then I would definitely get this at that point, because I think it is well worth the money for that, that particular price point. And I will go ahead and include some swatches. I'm not going to do the swatches live because with a palette this big it's just going to be too much. So I'll go ahead and photograph some swatches of these in with my cell phone and go ahead and superimpose them now so that you can see them. Overall, I think the colors are really, really pretty, and you do have such an interesting mix of mattes and shimmers and like foiled metallics that you can really build a lot of interesting color stories around that. So that's another reason why I really, really like this palette. Will note they do have like a mini version of this palette too, which is $18. I think the mini is very pretty, and to my understanding, the mini is shades from this palette, just less of them. So if it was something you were thinking about picking up but you didn't quite want every single shade, you could look at that and see if it had enough of the shades that you were interested in. For my money though, I think I'd rather have the bigger one, even though I'm not a fan of like super huge palettes, because I really like the whole color story here, and I didn't think the mini had enough of like the cool tones and kind of more interesting colors in it to make it worthwhile for me, so I opted for the bigger one. But just know, if you are a fan of smaller palettes, that one does exist. Alright you guys, and with that being said, that is everything for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in my next video.